The only constitutional path to Donald Trump's third term as president is a constitutional convention. The 22nd Amendment prevents any president from serving more than twice. This means you need a constitutional amendment for a third Trump presidential term. There are only two paths to a constitutional amendment: through Congress or through a convention of the people for proposing amendments when two-thirds of the state legislatures vote for it. Congress is a dead end because you need a two-thirds vote in both the House and Senate, and the numbers are too close right now to get that. Here is Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution, the amendment article. The convention clause is in bold red. It reads, "The Congress, on the application of the legislatures of two-thirds of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments." However, the Article 5 convention clause is defective. It has some huge gaps. It is a convention of the people, but there is no ratio of representation, and that cannot be set except by the people themselves. And so we're going to need Donald Trump to help us fix that problem to get the convention going before it can issue an amendment that allows him to serve a third term. You will need to know the difference between a convention of the people and a convention of the states to know what you're fighting for. You're fighting for the convention of the people. That would include elections by the people for the delegates, one person, one vote standard in the elections, and full power to review the entire Constitution. A convention of states would be controlled by the state legislatures, and they would appoint the delegates, taking away the people's right to vote. They would impose a one state, one vote process, and the state legislatures could limit the delegates as to what they could propose or even discuss. This was the position of the southern slave states that led to the Civil War. The only constitutional path for a third presidential term for Donald Trump is an Article 5 convention of the people. In the past decade, 19 states have called for a convention of the states, but that's the wrong kind of convention. Donald Trump must ask those 19 states to correct their mistake and instead call for the convention of the people. A total of 34 states must vote to begin the convention of the people to trigger Congress to call the convention. To be honest, this should be like low-hanging fruit for President Trump. He wants to focus on the fact that the Convention of States formulation basically usurps the people's right to vote for their own representatives. That should be enough for him to get the states to come on board. But Donald Trump is in a race against time. He must get 34 state legislatures to vote for an unlimited convention of the people. He must help the nation work through the gaps and defects in Article 5 and help get the convention started, meaning elections by the people. The convention needs to issue the proposed amendment to the 22nd Amendment. He needs to get Congress to send out the amendment to the states for ratification without gamesmanship, and then get 38 states to ratify the amendment. The next presidential election is November 7, 2028. Presidential primary season begins February 2028. The constitutional amendment allowing 3 presidential terms must be ratified by around January of 2028. That is a very tight schedule considering all of the court challenges that will be taking place. President Trump must call for the Article 5 Convention of the People now before running out of time.